I would like to welcome you to the Ingham County Treatment Court's 8th Annual Breakfast Foundation meeting. And it has been a wonderful journey. I know that for many of you, you've heard these incredible transformational stories of people that have been through our specialty courts. What an amazing experience. I was just talking to Randy this morning, and his journey is going to end in just a couple of days. 19 months that he's gone through this program, and we talked about how when he first heard about 19 months, he thought, oh my goodness, I don't know, that's such a long way, and now he's 2 days away from that. You know, we talked about taking a step every day. Yeah. And you know, I said, are you proud of yourself? He said, I'm incredibly proud of myself. And I said, well, I said, everyone in this room is proud of you. And he said, Sherry, I could not have done it without the different groups that are in this room. He said, they put us like in a cocoon. We're in this safe cocoon, and we make this journey, and somehow we come out on the other side better and stronger. And it's interesting that he told me, the house that he was in as part of his group therapy, he's actually going back to help. And I said, what a powerful statement to the people, 12 to 13 men who live there, to see you come through, the impact that you can have because you've walked the journey. And so, you know, we talk about life coming first full circle and really being our authentic self, whatever that is. And for him, what an incredible thing for him to know that he's made it through 2 more days and now he gets to go back.
Our foundation provides support to the courts and directly to the probation officers. Typically what happens is in today's world we see emails from our probation officers saying, please help us, we need funds because this person cannot afford to pay for testing, cannot afford to pay for transportation services, might have a medical issue, whatever it is. The requests come to the board. We send those out to the board for review and approval. And in almost all cases, I think I've only recall one in 11 years. Maybe I'm wrong, but in almost all cases, we review and approve those as soon as we can. So we thank the probation officers for coming to us. We're honored that we're able to provide those funds and assist those who are rebuilding their lives.
We're en route, 3 Humvees, 8 of us, no doors, and we get hit. We were ambushed by 35 enemy insurgents. We got hit with 3 RPGs, or rocket-propelled grenades, 3 IEDs, improvised explosive devices. RPG skips off in front of my vehicle, behind my vehicle, and hits the 3rd vehicle. Our truck gets sprayed full of ammunition. And at that time, to win a firefight, the biggest gun has to be in the fight. So I used my body as a shield to protect my gunner, and I was shot in the arm, the chest, and took 11 pieces of shrapnel in my body. A bullet went off my helmet and my gunner's buttocks, and my buddy Bruce lost his right leg and took 183 pieces of shrapnel in his body, just completely shredded apart. We continued to engage the enemy, eventually silencing all 35 men, and we moved out of the kill zone. That's when I realized I'd been wounded. And my buddy Mac, my gunner, he was fine, but had the $1 million wound, as Forrest Gump would say. And my buddy Bruce was in the rear vehicle. He was laying in a pool of his own blood. We went to go put a tourniquet on Bruce, and we were ambushed again by 15 more guys. At that point, we were very angry. We took down the 15 men. The medevac came, and we were extracted. And that's the last I saw of most of my guys. I went from the battlefield, from being the man on the ground, to laying in a hospital bed, transferred from Baghdad to Lawnstool, to Walter Reed, to Walmack at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and then 3 days later introduced back to my wife. She's 18, I'm 22 at the time. Does she speak combat? Because that's all I spoke. Just like that, I'm back in society. How do you process that? What do you do with that? How do you turn it off? You don't. It takes time. It takes a lot of work. It takes people that know what they're doing. It takes a community that understands. that time, we didn't have that. We were still new to all this. So we thought, right? We'd been to war. We went to Vietnam. That was different. Would you agree? We're getting better. But man, it took a lot of heartache and pain to get to where we're at today. So I came back December 17th, I think, back to back to Fort Bragg, December 17th, 2003. I'm home for Christmas, and December 27th, I get a phone call that my sister had passed from kidney disease. So add another layer of trauma. My team, they come back to Germany. I'm at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. They reissue me another set of orders. My team and my unit comes back to Germany, still don't see them. And then you feel like you've let them down. They're still fighting a war. They're still over in the fight. Where do I want to be? I want to be with my brothers, no matter what the cost. You know, these guys were men I was willing to die for, and they're over there fighting without me. It's like at your job, somebody replacing you. It's a terrible feeling. So they got back. I get the word that they'd nominated me for a Silver Star and Purple Heart. The Purple Heart just means I'm an idiot and didn't get out of the way. But the Silver Star meant a lot to me because those guys put me in for that. And if you're in the military, having any honor, it doesn't matter what it is, but when you're nominated by your brethren, that is very special. So it started this whirlwind. The Army identified me as a hero. I didn't know what that meant, but they treated me pretty well. I got to do some amazing things. They made an action figure out of me, a video game character. I toured the country telling that story. And I started to feel like a hero. But underneath, I never dealt with any of that trauma, that significant trauma that I experienced. Nor did I know how to process it. You know, most of us grew up in a time where you just didn't talk about your feelings, especially if you knew my dad. You dealt with it. Suck it up, drive on, and that was also the Army mentality. So you just dealt with it. Well, not dealing with it's not dealing with it. And it will come out. And it did for me. So I started to recognize and notice problems. And how I dealt with them was drinking and taking pills. I didn't know how to feel. I couldn't name it to tame it. I couldn't do any of that. And so life became unmanageable and out of control. I started to cheat on my wife. I had 2 kids. I wasn't really parenting. You know, I went from hero to zero like that because of the poor decisions I was making. And I couldn't get out of my own way. I wanted to stop. I knew I was doing these wrong things. But I felt like I was going crazy. I didn't know what else to do. Oh, this is normal. You're going to feel this way. No kidding. What do I do? What do I do with that? I'm going to do what I know. I'm going to drink.
Good morning. Thank you all for allowing me to be here. I'm Christine. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my process being a part of the 54B District Court drug court program. I have the honor of being the first member of our drug court program, and I take ownership of that program, as you can see, because I call it ours. But I'm here today because of that program, and it would not be, it saved my life. So I'm excited and nervous to be here to tell you about it. But I was a college graduate and an active part of my family and working professional in my community. And as a part of my career, I trained to recognize drug-seeking behavior in patients that I helped to care for. I even educated them on the risks of opioid dependency to surgical patients as part of their pre-op care. This is why it was so surprising that I didn't notice it happening to me until it was too late. Too late. In hindsight, I asked myself, too late for what? Too late to risk my marriage, to lose my job, bargain my freedom. Too late to sacrifice my own voice in exchange for one more dose of not feeling the loss. Because in the end, it would be all those things and much more. In November of 2016, when I found myself in Amy Eisler's office, I was recovering from my 10th leg surgery in a year's time, and countless others in the years before that. I've been diagnosed with lupus and deforming arthritis and survived giving the eulogy at my twin sister's funeral. I didn't notice when it started that I was over-medicating the physical pain, or even the drug treating the physical pain had become a drug for emotional pain. I started to notice that I needed the medication with such urgency that it started my day without even assessing my physical condition, that I would anticipate a hard conversation with my mother, and I would take just one more dose. Eventually, I knew my wife didn't recognize me anymore, but she was afraid to ask me why. She just knew that somewhere inside that person she was looking at was her wife, and she held on to that. Because of her bravery to hold on to that, and her willingness to fill in the blanks to Miss Eisler's questions when I couldn't answer them myself. I think I lost my voice 2 years before, at the end of that eulogy, right around the time when I should have started to grieve. Turns out I needed to learn that too. Sorry, I'm running out of hands. Just like that, I became the first member of the 54B District Court Drug Court Program. I think on a scale, you have a willing participant, an unwilling participant, and then there was me. I was so willing to trust the process and the people involved because it was clear to me that I had no other choice. Everything I had, including my own breath, depended on it. I could not imagine surviving myself, but these people could. These strangers that I didn't know looked at me and had faith that I would succeed. The treatment team involved in our program was able to look at my situation as a whole and work with a specific goal in mind. We had a deadline. 8 months from my beginning the program, I would be going back to surgery, and this one would be my hardest recovery yet. I would have to change my relationship with my drug of choice and with my dealers. That was my first assignment, to tell all my doctors about my addiction and now my recovery. In the 18 months I spent in drug court, I underwent 4 more surgeries, the last of which took my leg. I've been successful at maintaining my recovery because of the structured environment of our program that built me an arsenal of which to defend myself against, because recovery is work each and every day. The counseling services that guided me through the grieving process in the one-on-one relationship with probation officer Amy Eisler helped me find my voice. And I think they wish I'd shut up now. But above all else, it has given me a family, an incredible close support system that surrounds my life today and allows me to succeed in my recovery, my marriage, and my future. One of the most important relationships that have come from my recovery is becoming a sponsor. I've sponsored 3 drug court members now. And about a year ago, I had a chance to sponsor a young woman who joined 54B District Court Drug Court Program, and she continues to surprise me with her strength and motivation. It is her influence that convinced me to go back to grad school in the spring to pursue a career in addiction service counseling. I'm honored to introduce my fellow graduate and sponsee, Trina Day.
Hi, everyone. I'm a little nervous, I'll admit, but first I just want to say thank you for everyone's commitment in this room to us. Thank you for allowing me to speak here. I'm very grateful to be here. And with that, I'll begin. I'm going to go back here so I can flip this around. Okay. Before addiction ruled my life, I was a pretty normal girl. I grew up in a household with 2 parents, regularly attended church, and went to public school in Williamston. When I was 14, my parents divorced, and my normal life changed. I began to act out. I ended up getting pregnant with my first child while I was in high school, but still managed to graduate. A year after graduation, I moved out on my own with my son and his father. I maintained a job and paid the bills, but was partying all the time, pretty much whenever I was not working. At the age of 27, me and my oldest son's father were no longer together, although he stayed very active in our son's life. I couldn't seem to be alone for too long, and so my relationship with a heroin addict began. When I met him, I had no clue he was addicted to heroin. Although I was no angel and loved to party, I had not been introduced to hard drugs yet. This new man in my life introduced me to heroin for the first time. When I saw how it made him feel, I begged him to give me some so I could experience the same euphoria I saw on his face whenever he did it. It was then that I became an IV heroin user. Looking at me today, most of you would not peg me to be an ex-IV drug user. And that's because I finally got sick and tired of what drugs took from me in my life. There are no words to describe the pain, shame, and loss you experience in active addiction. Sometimes people that have not been through addiction seem to think that we as addicts are selfish because we just don't care about responsibility or our family or our children. Or they think that we don't want to stop because it's so much fun. I am here to tell you that is the farthest from the truth. Being an addict is not fun. Waking up one day and realizing that the drug you tried makes you so sick when it is not in your system that you are willing to do unspeakable things to get it is not fun. Not being able to stop to the point where all you want to do is die is not fun. Losing your children because you are so far gone that coming back seems literally impossible is not fun. Feeling like you are the worst human being on the planet every minute of every day is not fun. Hurting the people that love you the most on a daily basis is not fun. This drug took a hold of me instantly and stopped being fun the minute I took it. I lost my children, I lost my family and friends, but most importantly, I lost myself. I lost everything to the disease of addiction. At the age of 29, 2 years into my heroin and now cocaine addiction, I was driving erratically and got pulled over. At this time in my life, I looked like the Walking Dead. When the officer came to my window, I did not have my driver's license, so he detained me, and as he did so, he noticed something poking out of my shirt. He then radioed for a female officer to search me. I was so scared and so very alone. The female officer found heroin, crack cocaine, Adderall, and a needle on my person. This was the first time I had ever been arrested in my life. I was jailed in downtown Lansing overnight. The next day, I managed to get someone to bail me out. My charges were 3 felony counts of drug possession. The first thing I did when I got out was go use. I had never been so scared in my life, and although I did not have much of a life, it was all crumbling around me. My mother was attending FAN, Family Against Narcotics, during my addiction for support. At one of the meetings, she was reaching out about my current situation and got introduced to Phil Pavona. Phil Pavona got in contact with me and Amy Eisler, trying to see if I would be a good candidate for the 54B District Court Drug Court program. And that is how I ended up in that treatment court. 54B Drug Court is to this day my saving grace. This program is not your run-of-the-mill court program. My experience in 54B is something that will always stick with me. Trust me when I say at first I was not at all happy or grateful to be in such an amazing program that offered me a second chance at life. In the beginning, I was violating left and right and still couldn't seem to get my bearings. The reason I say it is not your run-of-the-mill court program is because they took a personal look into me as an individual and saw all the things that I could be buried underneath this thing called addiction. They cared enough for me when I couldn't to not give up. They saw a mother, a daughter, a sister, and a person hurting. They did not ever look at me as just another probationer that they couldn't wait to rid themselves of. They saw me, the me that my mom said I was, the me that all the people I love still saw. There are so many things that drug court did for me that I don't even have the time to express in this short speech, but I will try to give you the best picture I can. Drug court, for one, gave me Christine, one of the most beautiful souls I have ever met. She became my sponsor, my friend, my confidant. She is always, always there to be a listening ear, full of compassion and ready to hear me and help guide me in life and recovery with no judgment. Drug court gave me Amy Eisler, and as I write this, I can barely hold back the tears of joy for the fact that I have her in my life. She is the reason I believed in myself. Although she was my PO, she wasn't just that. She was someone that had never faced addiction in her life, but still had the heart and passion to help people that did face addiction. She is one of the wisest and most beautiful people I know. We still talk on a weekly basis, and I share all my victories and defeats with her to this day. Drug court gave me Judge Larkin, such an amazing human being. She wasn't just my judge, she was a person who looked at me and said, "We will figure out how to help you get back to you." Drug court gave me back my family and my oldest son, who is the most handsome, amazing young man that I know. My son has persevered and has the biggest heart of anyone I know. My mom couldn't be more proud, and I am so blessed that the best mom in the world stood by me through it all. She is my rock, and I hope to be half the woman she is one day. My stepdad has been the man in my life to stand by me in the good and bad times. And drug court made it possible for us to have a relationship again. I have been in the best relationship I have ever been in with a man coming up on 2 years. Drug court gave me that because they helped me see that I was worth having a good man love me. Drug court is not just some program. Drug court is the program. After I graduated drug court, I got certified as a peer recovery coach and am now working for Mid-Michigan Recovery Services, which is also a program that I went through and graduated. Drug court didn't just give me my life back. Drug court helped me see my worth and how important it is to share that worth with the world and give back to the same community that tirelessly gave to me. The success of drug court speaks for itself. 5 of their graduates are currently working in the addiction recovery field, and the most special thing about drug court is that they don't give up. Getting clean and having the strength to build your life up from scratch takes time, effort, and a team of people that sees addicts as people, not as just another junkie. I am living proof of what drug court can and continues to do in people's lives that everyone else gave up on. As a peer recovery coach for MMRS, I now get to sit on the pre-court treatment team meeting, sitting beside the judge that I once had to stand before, next to the PO that I once had to answer to, and next to the therapist that once helped me navigate my recovery. I am now seen as a colleague and someone who can inspire change. Talk about coming full circle. My name is Trina Day, and I am 2 years clean, and I'm damn proud to say that I am an addict in recovery.